Hi everyone, welcome to another Forex forecast with Blue Pips Forex. I'm Francis, and in today's analysis I'm going to be talking about AudNzd, AUDUSD, EurCad, UsdChf and EURJpy. As usual, I'm going to be making a full breakdown of these pairs from the monthly time frame down to the daily time frame, seeing where price has been and where price is most likely going over the next couple of weeks and months. So without further waste of time, let's get down to the video. Alright, so this is AUDNZD, and what we can immediately see from this pair is that we have this descending trend line at this point. You can see how that area has acted as resistance at this point. We had resistance, and I expected to see this area act as resistance again within this month, and as we can see, we have price rejecting this area of resistance from the monthly time frame. Now it's important to note that this month has not yet come to an end, so anything can still happen. We might still have a situation where we will have a monthly close above this monthly trend line at this point. So the month has not closed and anything can still happen within this last week of this month. So however, as long as price remains below this trend line, I expect to see a drop in the price of this pair. So let's see what we have from the weekly time frame. Alright, so this is the weekly time frame on AudNzd, and what can we see? First, we can see that we have a very good rejection of this trend line I highlighted on the monthly time frame, and after this kind of rejection, what I would want to expect next will be a further a drop to 1.0861 level of structure before we start looking at what will happen next, if the price will make a break above or if we will have a break back below and continuation lower. So from the monthly time frame, from the weekly time frame, what I would want to see will be a drop to 1.08617. So let's see what we have from the daily time frame. And this is the daily time frame, and what we can see is the possibility of a double top pattern at this point. You can see how the price came to this high, found resistance at that point, pushed lower, tried again, failed to break, and we have this push lower once again. So currently we can see that price is around the neckline of this double top pattern, and as long as price remains above this neckline, there is no trade setting up on this pair just yet. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be waiting for at least a daily close below this neckline. Then if I'm going to get a daily close below the neckline on the retest of that area as new resistance, I'm going to be taking a short trade down to this place, bearing in mind that I have an ascending trend line at this point, which I expect to still hold as support. So that's all for AUDNZD. Let's go to the next pair. Right, so this is AUDUSD, and what we can see from the monthly time frame, first of all, is that we have this descending trend line at this point, a multi-year descending trend line, and we can see how we had resistance at this point, and right here price seems to be finding resistance once again at this point. So as usual, as long as price remains below a major level of structure, I expect to see a drop in the price. So that's that from the monthly time frame. We have resistance and we still have price below the resistance, so I would expect to see price drop further into this lows or possibly this lows at this point right here. So let's see what we have from the weekly time frame. Alright, so this is the weekly time frame on AUDUSD, and what we can see is a market that came, made all this push upward, retracement, impulse, retracement, retesting this descending trend line at this point, and after that we had another push upward to this major level of resistance at 71.67. Now we can see how this week has closed a very strong rejection candle of that same area. And if we are going to zoom in, we are going to see that for the last 3 or 4 weeks, price has been rejecting this area, which shows that this area is actually a very important level of structure in the market. And with this kind of rejection, we could expect to see a drop in the price of AUD/USD to 7,000 over the next couple of weeks or days. Like, we know this is the weekly time frame, and we can't say for sure if it will just drop within next week. It could take 2 or 3 weeks to make this move. However, we expect to see this move to the downside over the next couple of weeks. So let's see what we have from the daily time frame. Now, this is the daily time frame, and what we can see first of all is that we have this wedge pattern right here, and we have price within the wedge pattern. So as long as price remains within this wedge pattern, we might just keep seeing consolidation within this zone, and until we have a breakout either to the downside before we start looking for short trades in alignment with what we already have from the monthly and the weekly time frame into this area of structure right here. But if on the other hand we'll have a break above, then we could start looking for long trades here if the other rules of strategies are being fulfilled. However, for now, there's nothing to do on this pair until we have a break of this consolidation we have at this point here. So next pair on our list, EurCad. Alright, so from the monthly time frame, what we can see is a market that is rejecting a major level of resistance at this point. I'm going to zoom in so that we can see the kind of resistance we have at that point. Now, what we can see here is a multi-year resistance. This triangle pattern we have at this point has been intact since 2008, which means it has been intact for at least 12 years, and we had price reject this resistance last month. So after a rejection like this, I would expect to see continuation lower. But now, another thing to keep in mind is this level of structure right here. We have resistance at this point, we have resistance. We can see how strong this area has been acting as resistance. So as long as price remains above this level, we might just see a bounce again and maybe consolidation before either a break lower for continuation to the support of this triangle pattern, or a break higher and continuation higher on this pair. So from the monthly time frame, we have price, I expect price to touch 54.90 within this coming week before we start looking before we start observing to see where next the price will be going over the next couple of weeks or months. So let's see what we have from the weekly time frame. Right, and this is the weekly time frame, and we can see that price is here to get to our objective at this point. So what we can see is that we have this move downward. After the rejection, the price started dropping gradually, and right now we have price heading for our target at 54.90. So I still expect to see further decline in the price since we are not yet at the next level of support. We expect price to touch before we start looking for the next direction of this pair. So I still expect to see further decline in the price. So before I'll be taking a trade on this pair, what you can see again is that we have this ascending trend line at this point. You can see how it has acted as support at this point right here, and I would expect it to act once again as support at this point. So another thing to take into consideration is that after the rejection of that monthly high I just showed you, we had this new downtrend in play. We had one low, we had a lower high, we had a lower low, we had a lower high, and now price gave us a daily and a weekly close below this previous swing low at this point. So what I will be expecting within this coming week would be a retest of 55.91 as resistance, acted as support back here, and I expect it to act as resistance within this coming week. So if I'm going to be seeing a valid rejection of this area, then I'm going to be looking for short trades from this area to my overall target down here before I stay on the sidelines and see how price will react to 54.43 support. If we are going to be seeing a bounce for another push higher, if we are going to be seeing a close below this area. Mind you, a close below this area will trigger a massive drop in the price of EurCad, because from the weekly time frame we can already see that that area is a very strong area of structure in the market, and the weekly close shows weakness on this pair, and we'll start looking for a drop in the price to these areas of structure we have right here. So for now I'll expect to see a retest of previous supports as new resistance at 55.91 before I start looking for short trades to 54.43. So down to USDChf. Alright, so from the monthly time frame on USDChf, what we can immediately see first is that price is currently trading at a major level of support right here. You can see that area acted as support at this point. You can see resistance, you can see support, you can see support through this area, you can see resistance at this point, you can see support at this point. So we already know that this area where price is at currently is a very important level of structure in the market, and as long as price remains above this level, I would expect to see a rise in the price of USDChf over the next coming months. Now this month has not come to an end yet, so there's still chance for price to make a push lower and close below this level, and if that happens, then we'll start looking for short trades out of this pair. But as long as price remains above, I'll expect to see a rise in the price of this pair. So let's see what we have from the weekly time frame. Now from the weekly time frame, it's obvious we can see this multi-year channel we have at this point. We can see how many times price found resistance at this top. We can see support at this point, we can see support at this point, and once again we can see series of supports at this point. So we know that this level is a very important level in the market. You can see for the last 4 weeks price has been rejecting both the 90.72 level and this descending channel support at this point here, and just this last week we can see the kind of bullish presence we have in the market. The buyers actually won last week, and with this kind of heavy rejection, I would expect to see further rise in the price of USDChf to 92.78 and perhaps 95.48 over the next couple of weeks, as the case may be. So now from the weekly time frame we expect to see a rise. From the monthly time frame, price is still trading above major level of structure, so we expect to see a rise. So let's see what we have from the daily time frame. Alright, so from the daily time frame we have this little bit of consolidation at this point, and as long as price remains within this consolidation, there is no trade setting up, which means at this point I'm not interested in buying this pair, even though from the monthly and the weekly time frame I have my direction showing me a buy trade. As long as price remains within this triangle, this channel, this descending channel, I'm not going to be doing anything on this pair. So before I'm going to be looking for long trades out of this pair, I want to see a daily close above 91.63 level. So if I'm going to see a daily close above 91.63 level, then price would have confirmed that it's going to rise. Then on the retest of that level, I'm going to be looking for entry as I'll be looking for entry on previous resistance as new support, and I'll be taking my first exit at 92.78. If I get a daily close above 92.78, then on the retest I'm going to be taking another long trade into my overall target at 94.11, and I expect this to happen over the next coming weeks. Remember, this is trading, and nothing is certain. Price doesn't move in a straight line. You will not see a situation where the price will just go straight. Price moves in waves. You can see right here how the price keeps moving up and down, I expect to see a break above, retest, and continuation upwards to our overall target. So down to the last pair for today, EURJpy. Alright, so from the monthly time frame on EURJpy, what we can immediately see is that price is rejecting this previous support, trend line support or triangle support at this point as resistance. You can see how we have support down here, we have support at this point, we had support at this point once again, we had the break, a brief retest, and then we have price retesting the area as support once again. Alright, while price was making this retest of this area, we had a pattern that formed, which is a double bottom pattern. So with this kind of pattern forming, we can also see that if I'm to put an horizontal line down here, you can see that this is actually a major level of structure in this market. You can see how price found support at this point. You can see support here, you can see resistance through this area, you can see support at this point. So this is actually a major level of support in the market as well. So this is a double bottom pattern that the market has formed, and I would say this is a valid double bottom pattern because what classifies a double bottom pattern, you have a downtrend. After a downtrend, you have one wave up, price fails to break the previous low, you have another wave higher than the previous resistance, or also known as the neckline, and after that what you expect to see next will be a retest of that level as new support before continuation higher. However, this pair is very trickish at the moment because from what we can see right here, we still have this descending trend line at this point. You can see how it keeps finding resistance at that point, and we might have a situation where price will drop to this point, hit the resistance, and fall. However, we don't know if that's going to happen yet, but from what we have right now, from the data we have price rejecting this level of structure right here, and we expect to see price drop down to this area over the next couple of months or weeks or months, as the case may be. So let's see what we have from the weekly time frame. Alright, so this is the weekly time frame, and what we can immediately see from the weekly time frame is that after the rejection of this level I talked about on the monthly time frame, price dropped, which is normal. After a test of a major level, you either see a break or a rejection of that level, and what we can see right here is a rejection of that level. So where is the next level of structure we have from the weekly time frame? We have it right at this point here, and we can see how the price just closed marginally above that level of structure right here. So from the monthly time frame, this is our overall target at 22.75, but from the weekly time frame we have support at this point, and as long as we have support at that point, it's not a good idea to be looking for short trades. You can't be selling at support, because you might have a situation where the price will just reject the support and keep moving higher, and at the end of the day you take a loss out of that, a loss that could have been avoided. So at this point I'll not be looking for short trades immediately. However, I still expect to see price get to my overall monthly targets over the next couple of weeks or months. So let's see what we have from the daily time frame and see how we can look for trading opportunities on this pair. Alright, so this is the daily time frame on EuroJpy, and what we can see first of all is that price has been in a very strong uptrend since June this year. You can see how the price came from this low to this high. We have one correction, we had impulse, we had correction, we had impulse, we had correction, impulse, correction, impulse, and at this point, at this area where we have previous level of resistance, I expected price to find support at this point. I actually made the analysis to people who are on our Blueprint advanced group. I expected price to find support at this area, and we can see how price slowed down at that area. However, we never got the confirmation to take a trade on this pair, and we did not take a trade on this pair. So we can see that we have a daily and a weekly close below major level of structure at this point. You can see how this area was resistance at this point, it turned into support at this point, and then we had a daily and the weekly close below that area of structure. So now remember, from the weekly time frame we cannot be looking for short trades because of prices at support. So now how do we proceed from here? Seeing the fact that we had an uptrend, and we expect to see price get to this area from the monthly time frame, how do we take an entry? I would expect to see price retest previous support at this point as new resistance at this point. You can see it was resistance at this point, it became support at this point. Now I expect that area to be retested as resistance once again before I start looking for short trades. So that's what I expect to happen on this pair. A rise back to 25.35 to find resistance, and if price will come back to find resistance at this point, we would have created a head and shoulders pattern on this pair. And as we already know, after a head and shoulders pattern, it's normal to expect a drop in price. So that's what I'll be expecting to happen on this pair. Continue a retracement to 25.35 for a completion of this head and shoulders pattern. And at this point, this will I'll be looking for entry opportunities on this pair to my overall target at 22.29. So this is going to be all on my analysis for this week. If you enjoyed this analysis, do like, subscribe, click on the bell notification to enable you get our content whenever we release them. Also leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. If you have questions, please ask. I'll be more than willing to answer you. Till we meet in the next video, do remain profitable and have a wonderful weekend.